We're going to do a good old-fashioned taste off.
Yeah, what do you got over there?
Let's have another treat tonight.
That's insane.
Am I real? Are you real? Is this whole thing real?
I am real. I am real. Watch this, because I'm going to get wasted.
Let's have another drink.
A big thank you to our sponsors for making this show possible.
I have a lot of friends out there. The guest I have on today, we've become very good friends through bourbon. But before we started talking about bourbon, I watched Boardwalk Empire, Mad Men, Justified, a couple others that he was in that were all had major bourbon influences. And my guest today is Eric Ladin. Eric, I don't know if you know this, but you have been in every influential TV series of the last 15 years for bourbon. Did you know that?
No, I didn't. I didn't know it until you texted me and actually gave me that piece of trivia. And I feel like the bourbon now it's way more prevalent in television, you know, especially with like Yellowstone and some of the obvious ones. But no, I didn't know that until you know.
And you had a role in the Yellowstone series too, right?
Nope, not in the Yellowstone series. Not yet. Not in the Yellowstone
see you on a
series.
horse killing somebody.
But I'd have to kill somebody. Well, I'd rather kill somebody than be killed. Most of my career, I've gotten killed, so I always prefer killing.
You're down for the killing now.
Yeah. Now I'm just ready to kill people.
And you got killed pretty brutally and Justified.
Yeah, I get killed brutally and justified. Sometimes I get killed. I was killed in For All Mankind, and the character I play is still walking and breathing today. So that's how Hollywood has done me. That I was so sure in that role in particular, I was like, babe, we're good. Yeah. Like, I could be on this for a while. This guy's still alive. They can't kill me. They killed me. Yeah.
Well, here's the drowning your sorrows. This is the Sherpa. 2 ounces bourbon.
Okay.
1/4 ounce curacao.
Okay.
1/4 ounce allspice liqueur.
There's the spice.
And then 2 dashes chocolate bitters.
Ooh, okay. That allspice, yeah.
Yeah, you can taste it.
Yeah,
this is
for sure. It's really good.
Good thing you Ubered over here.
Mm-hmm.
We got some catching up to do. So I'm in jiu-jitsu now, and my son's wrestling, and I've just my entire personal life has just been dominated by the mats, right? And so anytime that the social media world finds out your interest, they feed you all these clips and everything.
Of course.
And then a few months ago, I started getting these clips of you on the mats when you're young, you know,
baby.
You're about to your baby phase, and you're about to wrestle. And I was like, holy shit, Eric was in the wrestling movie.
Was that Eric in Iron Claw? I didn't recognize him. That was me in a singlet in my very first movie, a Wes Craven film called Cursed.
Okay, limp wrist, stay away from my groin.
Milo Ventimiglia, Jesse Eisenberg, Christina Ricci, and I played Milo Ventimiglia and myself and one other actor named John. I can't recall his name. We played the bullies.
Uh-huh.
And it was very on the nose. Yeah. I mean, we were very much the Cobra Kais. Milo was Johnny, and I was like, put him in a body bag, guy. You know what I mean? Like, we were his henchmen. And there is a scene towards the end of the movie when Jesse Eisenberg and I wrestle against one another. And he has been bitten by a werewolf, so he's starting to have werewolf tendencies. And so he throws me halfway across the gym.
By the way, that'd be awesome. As a wrestler, if you can get some werewolf tendencies, that would be awesome.
That'd be awesome. It reminded me of the old Teen Wolf movies.
Well, let's get...
Yeah, what do you got over there?
Break some stuff out. Well, I got a lot here.
Okay. I see some really pretty bottles.
Let's start with something super old. This is an old Stitzel-Weller product.
I told you, this reminds me of that Berghoff.
Berghoff, yeah.
90 proof.
Yeah.
Looks like the same, similar label. This thing's from the 80s?
This is an import. So this is one of those products you can't just walk into your retail store and buy. I went to they're actually a sponsor of the show. They're called Baxis.
Okay.
Just Baxis.co. And you can buy like old vintage bottles there, and it's like got super incredible like pricing transparency. You can see what it sold for like a couple of years ago and what it went for like an auction and stuff. But this would be from the 70s. This is an export to Japan. At least I think that's Japanese.
Awesome. I do.
That's awesome, man.
Cheers, man.
Cheers.
Appreciate you.
All right, so the caveat is like these older whiskeys.
Okay.
Sometimes they don't keep as well, or something, or and sometimes they don't taste as like they do today, like the products coming out today. So not all the times you get kind of like a dusty note. What they call it? It's kind of like an old leather couch smell or a basement smell.
Okay.
But also, this whiskey was made with grains that was pre-GMO.
Okay.
This is probably second growth wood, and there had been no computers connected to making this whiskey whatsoever. Which, as we are starting to see the growth of AI, I'm really curious to your thoughts on like how AI is going to impact Hollywood.
Tremendously, but I think it's every industry, right?
It's everything, everywhere. I mean, am I real? Are you real? Is this whole thing real?
I am real. I can assure you of that. I'm real. Watch this, because I'm going to get wasted.
Oh, wow.
That's delicious.
That's freaking amazing.
That's really delicious. What is it about? I mean, that is so easy to drink.
Yeah. This has got a layer of complexity to it that you don't find in a lot of bourbons today. It's a different kind of complexity.
That's the easy drinker, dude.
I feel so bad for everyone watching us. They can't drink.
That's an easy. I only have one friend over there that is really bummed right now. Yeah, this is delicious.
We'll get it going with what cracked into my top 100.
You talked about these guys. I listened to a pod where you were talking about these guys, that you like one of the bourbons you were most excited about this year.
Yeah.
And that you really enjoy.
James E. Pepper.
Yeah.
So these guys cracked into the top 25 of my top 100. Oh, that's good.
It's really good. Like, what do you taste there?
So this is really, really upfront. This is kind of like a pumpkin pie, a nutmeg, a little bit of like caramel drizzle or caramel drizzle. I go back and forth, caramel, caramel.
I'm caramel.
You're caramel.
But I'm from Texas.
Yeah. I
feel like caramel is like a back east or something.
I always have to say this.
Caramel.
From Texas. I'm from Oklahoma.
But that's all right. We can be friends.
We can still be friends.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you an A&M guy or a Longhorn? What are you?
No.
What are you?
Well, I grew up a Longhorn fan. But then I went to USC. Okay. Exactly. I went to USC. And so as soon as I went to USC, it became, a little bit,
You left, you got right in the world. I can live the truth.
I still, though, I have a lot of Longhorn in my family. So, like, if A&M and Texas are playing, I'm rooting for the Horns.
Yeah.
And I'll root for the Horns. As long as they're not playing SC, I'm rooting for the Horns. But there is always this thing between my dad and I, because I'm an SC guy and he's a Longhorn. When they played each other, we didn't talk for like a day or two.
So when we played Oklahoma, at Oklahoma State.
But you were at Oklahoma State.
I'm an Oklahoma State guy.
Right.
So we hate Texas, but not at the same passion that we hate Oklahoma.
Right.
But
so would you even root for Texas in the Texas OU game?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of I'm going to be happy with whoever loses.
Right.
There's more of I'm happy with someone losing that versus winning.
That's really good, by the way.
It is. It's an everyday kind of sipper,
Do you think it'd be good with Dr. Pepper?
We'd have to take that to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals.
Okay, fair enough.
But the last year when we played Texas in the Big 12 championship, the last Big 12 championship that Texas could be a part of, so one of our fraternities threw a dead Longhorn.
I read about it. I read about it. Just
Like, guys, come on, man. We don't need that
no,
motivation.
no. Especially now that, like, I feel like, in 1987, that probably strikes a
Yeah.
different chord.
Yeah.
2024, tough.
Yeah.
Tough.
I mean, even in the 90s, it would have been dumb.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
no one's
Yeah. Let's not do that.
who the hell's throwing a
Yeah.
fucking carcass on there.
Yeah.
So dumb. Yeah.
Yeah. This is delicious.
No. Have you had much Woodinville?
No, I've never had that.
Never had.
No.
So this one is made in Woodinville, Washington.
Okay.
Also, cracked my top 100.
Okay.
This one is finished with applewood staves.
Okay. Assuming like from Washington.
Woodinville to me is one of those really great small distilleries that has been pushing the envelope. They do a good job. Good. Oh, damn, that's good.
That's sweet.
That is a spot.
That's pretty easy.
Yeah, it's real easy. So when you are walking through the airport, what do people most recognize you for the roles you play? Because you played a lot of people who've gotten killed and so forth. As you mentioned.
Generation kill.
Yeah.
Because Marines in particular, but service people, veterans, they love Generation Kill. What I love the most about that show is that the servicemen and women that come up to me and say how much they love that show always say it's the most realistic show about the military and being a Marine than any show that's ever been on television.
Wow.
And like that, for an actor, that's all you really want to hear.
Yeah.
Right? Because we work so hard and so, tirelessly with advisors to try to make sure that we look the part, feel the part. I'm one of those people, I don't know if you're like this, but I'm one of those people who are like, when I watch television and I see somebody somebody playing like a basketball player and they can't shoot hoops.
Yeah.
Or like even like my wife's pet peeve is when she sees someone smoking that's not a smoker, and she's like, that person doesn't smoke. And like you can
wow.
tell, And so as an actor, you so desperately want to make sure that when you look the part and you feel like, all right, like Marines are going to look and be like, I'd buy that. That guy, I'd buy that guy's a SEAL. I'd buy that guy's a Marine. And so that to me is the most, like, I love that when people come up and tell me that. And then there's just a ton of Justified fans. There's a ton of Bosch fans out there.
Love
It's the
Bosch,
shows that the one positive of like this, there's a lot of positive, but one of the major positives of the streaming era is that shows that, are, it's not a rerun era. So you don't have to wait for things to be on rerun. So like I have people that say, oh, I just started watching The Killing. And The Killing I did in 2011.
Wow. Yeah.
And so, just started watching that show. Is amazing. The Killing is incredible. And so people are finding things that you might have done. I mean, look at what happened with Suits recently. Suits kind of blew up, and it was on, several years ago.
And then they had a whole princess thing.
Well, and that obviously helped. So people can find things, that you've done. So that's probably Generation Kill is one of them, just because of how many veterans there are out there that watch that show and absolutely love that show. And then David Simon, Ed Burns created the show, who created The Wire, and people are such big fans of theirs.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah, I will have to say, like, I can't watch anything that is from my era. Like, I can watch like Vietnam era war stuff or World War II, World War I. But it's very difficult for me to
Really?
watch anything that's Iraq or Afghanistan related.
really, yeah.
Yeah.
What years were you there?
I was in Iraq for the entirety of 2004.
Okay.
And a little bit of 2005.
Okay.
So the thing is, like, I've been home for a long time and shit. I'm coming up on a 20-year anniversary of when I nearly died. So I have a real, I have to be, I know my limitations.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are certain things that will induce a flashback on me.
Sure.
And like a firefight in the streets of Iraq, like seeing that footage.
Right.
Like, I have to, like, as soon as it comes up, I have to turn it.
Right.
I have to turn it, or I know
Right.
I have to start grounding myself.
Right.
And I have a whole thing that I do for grounding.
Interesting.
Like one of the things that I do is if there's if something's about to come up, I'll just close my eyes and grab something that has some texture to it and think about how it feels. Yeah. I'll think about that and it'll help get my mind off of it. And, but the truth is I can't watch that.
Yeah.
If I watch it, it could fuck me up.
Yeah. That's really interesting. I mean,
And everyone's different.
Everyone, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I have such a huge admiration for people who served. I honestly, I don't have, and I've been fortunate enough to work on shows with Navy SEALs, Recon Marines, all different sectors of the military. But because of that, and because I've met them, and because I've learned from them as much as I can as a civilian, I have such an admiration for them. It is probably one of the few things. I don't have a lot I regret in my life. I wish I had. There's part of me that wish I had served. I have such a deep admiration for those who did, and thank you, by the way.
Well, I appreciate that.
But I can understand that, man. I can understand it, and that sucks. Hopefully one day you'll be able to maybe watch them, or maybe you don't, and that's okay too. Because,
I think
I don't know what you gain from it, to be honest with you.
It's something I know where I'm at.
Yeah, you know your limitations.
I worked hard to get where I'm at.
Yeah.
Now if you start in a role that had you coming out, that was coming out in theaters or whatever the next few months, I would work myself up to where I could go to support you.
Right.
And I'll give you an example. Firecrackers were very, very difficult for me. In fact, firecrackers were the last thing of my life that I hadn't shaken from the military. And I would go, firecrackers would hit. One time I was in Disney, and I had to hide underneath a bench. I had to run into a visitor center because the fireworks were going off. I thought I would be okay.
Right.
And it was awful. I was crying. I was in the corner, but the people from Disney were right there, patting me on the back, making sure I was okay. It's pretty common for them, they said. But as I had kids, I was I'm never going to be able to experience fireworks with my kids.
Right.
And it was killing me. It was absolutely killing me. And I was I have to work myself into it. So I started, doing exposure therapy for it. I started working myself around certain noises and things. And then I noticed something. I noticed that when I had a cigar in my hand, the texture of the cigar and the aromas of the cigar, I didn't have the reaction to the instant reaction to the sound. So my point to that is if there's a moment that someone I'm close to is starring in a movie,
you have to smoke a cigar in the theater.
I'm going to smoke a cigar in the theater or something like that.
That's you're going to just light up.
I was just kidding.
And honestly, theaters need the business, so they'd be fuck it. We'll take it. You know what? Smoke a cigarette. We don't care.
Yeah, what's
honestly, we just want your business. Please come.
All glassware for the Fred Minnick Show was given to us by Whiskey, including the cocktail glasses and the tasting glasses. You can get your own. Go to Whiskey.com. That's Viski.com. Enter Fred20. That's Fred20 at checkout to get 20% off of your Whiskey glass. Cheers.
What's something new you're working on right now?
So I've been doing a lot of development, which I love because it uses a different side of my brain. I'm developing a show about bourbon, actually, and the bourbon world. But kind of the underbelly part of the bourbon world, the part of the bourbon world that people don't love, the secondary market and the hunters,
the criminal stuff.
Yeah, and I think
it's not real criminal.
It's not real criminal stuff, but it's what's driving the price of bourbon up, right? Which of course I feel the distilleries probably don't hate, but at the same time,
it's funny. It's funny you mention that because some of them have actually like Sazerac actively worked with the lawyers of Facebook to shut down the secondary market on Facebook. Yeah, a few years ago.
Yeah.
Before we met even. And so some of them are like that. Some of them actually embrace the secondary market and actually value do their pricing based on that.
Of course. How could they not?
So
I mean, I bought a Weller 12 the other day. It's a $28 auto that I spent $89 on or something.
yeah, well, you spent $89 on a Weller 12. Consider yourself lucky.
So, but you know what I mean? I mean, it's just like it's silly. It's like so the prices have obviously we have inflation and everything else, but anyway, the show it kind of highlights that, and there's so many people out there doing it, and what we really recognized was this influx of people that were not only doing it to like a massive level, but like starting to make a living on it.
There's quite a few people who've made a lot of money. And I have spent a lot of money with a lot of them.
Yeah.
Now there's legal means to do it. Like
Right.
I mentioned Baxis where I bought this bottle.
Right.
But there's a lot of legal means to buy bottles that you couldn't do anymore.
Right.
And I do remember a meeting in a Kroger parking lot. A 6'5" Russian dude. And he opened up his trunk, and I gave him a bag of cash. And
For what?
well, this particular exchange was for about 30 bottles, but it was about $100,000 worth of whiskey. And I met with him another time. I gave him a cashier check. I met with other people in like storage locker areas. And I remember someone telling me like, "Hey, Fred, do you have a bodyguard with you? Because you're literally walking around with a lot of money." I was like, "Oh, I'm good. I'm all right."
Right.
They're like, "Well, are you packing?"
Right.
And it's like all these people were very concerned. I was like, I don't know, I never had any kind of fears of any of that. Now I'm actually writing a book on that time and what led to me where I am now. But but there's some.
It's crazy though.
It is, yeah.
So in California, unlike a lot of states, grocery stores, Pavilions, Ralph's, whatever your grocery store is, Gelson's, I don't know, wherever around the country your grocery store is, in California, they sell liquor.
That's right.
However, they have to sell it by law at MSRP. So they can't possibly put it on the shelf, because if they put something on the shelf, then people from liquor stores, the local mom and pop liquor store will come, they will buy it, they will put it on their liquor store for 4X, 5X, 10X, whatever it is, and then they will sell it. So they want to make sure that doesn't happen, so they keep it in the back. So you have to spend time building a relationship with the liquor manager at your local grocery store. And by doing so, you can get bottles.
Yeah.
So I have a relationship with the liquor manager at my local grocery store, and he has bottles for me that he'll keep in the back. But when he brings them out, he might say, "Oh, hey, by the way, like I have this or I have that," and I'm like, "Oh yeah," like I love the Old Forester store pick, the barrel picks.
Yeah.
And so they're great. And so he knows I love those. And the other day I went in and I was like, "Hey, do you have those?" And he's like, "I've got it for you." So, but he comes out, but he will walk me to my car. He walks it to the front. We go to the special customer service register. He puts it in a brown bag, wraps it up, and he's like, "You have to be done shopping. If you're not done shopping, shop and then come find me and I'll give it to you." And because he has seen people, get jumped in the parking lot for bottles of booze.
Wow.
Like, what are we doing?
Well, there's
Like,
also
that's where we're at? That's insane.
And there have been people who are on the other side, like they are kind of that guy in like a controlled state, and they would a controlled state meaning that the government controls the flow and sale of alcohol, and they are in prison right now because they would advance the sale of Pappy to people outside of the store's government controlled release. So they would sell it on their own. They would not, and they would use. They got brought up on charges for using government equipment.
Wow,
Stuff like that. And meanwhile, you have some states where they always lose like 2 or 3 bottles.
Right.
And everyone's always like, "We know that's going to the state senator."
Yeah. Where's the Thomas Handy? Well, it's the state senator. He got that. Yeah.
And right now, the Federal Trade Commission is, investigating and actually going through antitrust the entire distribution issue. The whole thing's a big giant fucking mess.
And that's also based on just the system of like the distributors, the distilleries, the distributors, and then the retailers, right?
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that like, I mean, don't the distributors essentially run the business?
Well, theoretically, but the truth is that you were part of probably the most important TV series of all time that kind of covers Prohibition and Boardwalk Empire.
Sure.
And you were there like your character.
J. Edgar Hoover, I got to crack down.
You were cracking down.
Yeah, I was cracking down.
And by the way, the actor who kind of felt like he was like in love with you in a lot of those scenes, he was a good actor too. I liked him. What was his name?
Who?
The guy that was like your right hand.
Brian Garrity. And I love Garrity.
Great.
He and I had such a good, we were buds, and he's awesome.
That was
and he had a great turn on that show.
Honestly, that was probably the best report in that entire show.
Oh, I appreciate that, man.
That was an incredible report. You were kind of that whole part got kind of worked out in the season.
Yeah, we had a fun time though. I will tell you, it's funny about that show. So pilot season had come and gone, and I hadn't landed up. And this is like a little inside baseball, but pilot season happens. At the traditional pilot season for an actor happened to like January, February, March. You'd try to get a pilot. It would be like just a really, really busy time. Everybody get their pilot, go off and shoot it. It had come and gone, and I hadn't booked a pilot, and I was really bummed about it. But Boardwalk Empire had come across my table, and they had said, they want to see you for J. Edgar Hoover. And I said, I'm not wasting, I'm not getting J. Edgar Hoover. You know what I mean? That's not happening. It's, I've got blue eyes and blonde hair, and it's not happening. And so, and I had just had a kid at the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, my wife's like, I was on the phone with my manager, and my wife was like, what's the problem? I was like, I can't, J. Edgar Hoover, I'm not going to get it. This is a waste of freaking time. What are we doing? She's like, we have a new baby. You're an actor. Go fucking act. Whatever you need to do, right? I was like, all right, fine, I'll go do it. So I grab a jacket, I grab a shirt and a tie, and I go to my friend's house who I do tapes with, because it was a tape, because they're in New York. And I literally read it probably 2 times with her. I was like, you pick the take, send it to New York. I'm done. It's not going to happen. And 2 weeks later, my manager called. They're like, hey, by the way, we just got an offer for Boardwalk Empire. And I was like, really? That's crazy. And I went out there, and Terrence Winter, when I went into the makeup trailer for a hair and makeup test, I was like, do they want to do contacts? Do they want to dye the hair? They were like, we want to dye your hair. We don't want to do contacts. And I was like, all right, they know I've got blue eyes, bright blue eyes. They were like, yeah, Terry, Terry Winter, who was running the show at the time, and as incredible was he was like, that's our guy. That's our guy. That's who we're having. I want him. That's our guy. And doesn't care about the blue eyes, doesn't care about any of it. It's just the embodiment of J. Edgar Hoover, which of course at that point I started to shit my pants. It was Leonardo DiCaprio's movie had just come out, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to play J. Edgar Hoover.
So we're going to do a good old fashioned taste off, but between 2
giants,
apex predators here.
Mm-hmm.
And these two bottles together, if they were your full, and this was not just a sample bottle. They'd be they could go for $100,000, the 2 of them together.
What is that?
This is the Weller Millennium sample bottle. They blended a wheat whiskey and wheated bourbon.
Okay.
From the year 2000 and a few other years, and it's basically all from this Millennium.
Okay.
So these are all from then. This is
the Weller 25.
Michter's
the Michter's 25.
Michter's 25-year-old.
Yeah.
So
do a Weller Michter's.
Let's do a Weller Michter's taste off.
I love it.
All right. What do you say?
Let's do it.
All right.
Where are you going first?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Weller. I just tasted this. I tasted this recently, so it's a little bit fresher on the palate. I know it, and I haven't had the 25-year-old in ages.
All right, I'm gonna have to be.
Shit, I just spilled
it. There you go. But that's good. That's good. That means that's a sign of a good interview.
That's good. I'm spilling on myself left and right. Well, at least it's not in the crotchal area, so you know.
That's true.
I peed.
Okay. I will tell you. I should say this ahead of time.
Okay.
Michter's has a very special place in my heart.
Ooh, tell
They
me.
got me into bourbon. Michter's is the reason I'm in bourbon.
Oh, wow.
And meeting them and visiting the distillery, like to me, they are on the top. They are
That's
on the Mount
bourbon
Rushmore
family for you.
That is Mount Rushmore
Yeah,
bourbon for
okay.
me. So, but I'm going to try to do this in the most objective way possible.
Oh, my God.
I didn't think what that was. I did not think it was going to taste like that on the nose.
Yeah,
Like when I smelled it, I thought, oh, I'm not sure I'm going to like this. And then I drank it and I was like, holy good mother of Lord. That's very good.
Special.
Is it all weeded?
Yeah, so it's wheated bourbon
Okay.
and wheat whiskey. So wheat whiskey,
What is that?
it's a category of whiskey that's predominantly made out of wheat,
Okay.
whereas wheated bourbon is it's predominantly corn, but wheat is the secondary.
So it's still 51 corn, 51
Yeah.
plus corn, whatever, but
Yeah.
wheat is the predominant. Okay. Because I do love a Weller 107. I mean, I love their wheated bourbons. Like, I
You're
love
over
their
here getting Weller 12-year-old for $89. Oh my God! I'm
Okay.
I'm on to the 25
All
right
right,
now.
all right, all right. Stand by.
Oh my God!
Initial instinct.
I give the nod to Michter's. Michter's 25. You give it to the Weller?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's really delicious.
Wow. I'm going Michter's, and the thing is like I love the other one too.
I mean, they're both insane. So you obviously know everybody over at Michter's. You know them.
Yeah, very well.
I was blown away with just like their process. Like, so I went there and it was the first distillery tours I had done. And I went to Buffalo Trace and I went to Michter's. And I just, when you go to like Buffalo Trace felt, I mean, it just kind of felt like a factory, you know? And when I went to Michter's, I felt so, I will preface this by saying I had a different experience, I think, than anyone going to Michter's. Like it was,
Did you,
I was
did
with
you
Dan
go to
all-
the big facility?
I
or-
went to the one downtown.
Okay.
There's just
Fort Nelson,
McKee
yeah.
and the Fort Nelson. It was Dan and a group of my buddies and I, and we spent time together. And then we went in the back and did a tasting, in which we were able to taste the Celebration along with the 25. And so we had a very special experience. But learning about how they did it, and what do they enter at 103. Don't they enter lower than everyone else?
Yeah, they enter 103 proof.
So it, like, in learning about that, I didn't know about that process.
Oh.
And I thought that was like really fascinating. You know, it costs more to do that because you lose more to
Yeah.
the angel share, right? So like I thought that was really fascinating. And Michter's is the brand that got me into bourbon. I love all of their stuff. Their
Okay.
toasteds I think are incredible. Their 10 years are incredible. Yeah, so I have an affinity for them.
Well, I love that. And so for you to actually choose something else,
That's insane.
you also said the distillery was a factory. Like you
That's insane.
yeah, you chose your favorite.
Yeah, that's
And it is
insane. Yeah,
basically
that's really good.
That's Babe Ruth versus Mickey Mantle.
Yeah, I mean, there is no loser in that. There is no loser in that pour. There is no there. Yeah, that's fantastic.
What's a historical character that you would like to play?
I love sports.
Okay.
I love sports. I watch sports and I love athletes. I would love to play an athlete, and I think obviously at this point in my life I'd probably have to be like on the later years, so I might have missed the boat on that. But I really like, to me, being able to because what I look at is like, how do I, like, the process of playing a character is being able to dig into that character, right? Like when I play Chris Kraft or when I play Gene Kranz, getting to know them, reading books about them, talking to relatives of theirs or talking to people that knew them. That's the best part of what I do. That is
The research.
the research, right? The prep. That's everything to me. And obviously, the work once you get on set, but I really thrive and enjoy that. And so I think because of my love of sports, I have a deep, deep, deep love for baseball. I would love to play,
You could be like one of those managers that, is chewing tobacco.
I could be. I have a lot of people that say, you could play Conor McGregor. And I was like, that's true. I could play Conor McGregor.
I actually, as soon as you did,
You see what I did there?
yeah, wow, I see that. Yeah, here,
That's
kill
so
it.
good, dude. That's
Kill
so
it.
good. Yeah. That's
Kill that. Brother, this has been absolutely amazing. And, I never do this, but you want to come back next week?
Let's do it.
We do it?
Yep. Let's go.